What's up, y'all? This is Franchise Play, aka Brian Mazique, coming to you with the Ask FP. I'm coming up with it a little bit late, y'all, but we're gonna jump right into that first question. Matt Price says, why do you think that more athletes don't use their elevated status to talk about social issues? Well, I'll be honest with you, Matt, I don't think that they should necessarily. Just because you can dunk a basketball doesn't mean I want you speaking about social issues. Sometimes people feel like just because they got a mic in front of their face, they gotta say their opinion, and sometimes they're not qualified to give it. But, you know, if you do have some influence, you feel strongly about something, by all means, you should do it. But I don't think anybody should be pressured to do it. The next question is from Devin Martinez. He says, who do you think will win the Royal Rumble this year? The obvious choice is Roman Reigns. But because that's so obvious, you almost feel like maybe they're going to go a different direction with that because it's so obvious. But I don't know who else they would want to make sure is in the main event of WrestleMania. So I know I kind of expect Randy Orton to come back, but I don't think they'd put him back in there either. So I really don't know. But I guess I'd say Roman Reigns just to be safe. Jake Pagliaro says, in your mind, who is going to win the Super Bowl? The Seattle Seahawks. Right about now, they look like the nastiest team in the NFL. Both sides of the ball. The defense looks like, do you realize in like the last, 5 games, they've given up an average of like 6.7 points per game? I might be slightly off with that number, but I'm close. The offense looks good. I mean, they look nasty right now. So that would be my pick. Jalen Cook says, if the NHL 2K series came back to consoles, do you think NHL 2K would get more sales than the EASports NHL series? No, at least not initially. I think that NHL had a really strong situation going. I think they set themselves back a little bit by holding so much back in the first next-gen version. But I still think it would take some time and some really good games for NHL 2K to really hurt NHL from a sales standpoint. Trevor Allen says, do you think with the way Jimmy Butler is playing, he'll make the All-Star team? Absolutely, he better. He better make the All-Star team. I mean, look. I mean, are you looking at what I mean? Right now, he's leading the Bulls in scoring. If you're leading one of the best teams in the NBA in scoring, it's kind of hard for me to say you're not going to go to All-Star team. And then he still is one of the best on-ball defenders in the league too. So, I mean, he's not going to make it with the fan vote, but the coaches should definitely put him in. Trevor Allen also says, my thoughts on Jimmy Clausen's first start. Well, I liked him until he got concussed. He done got concussed. So now he can't play in the next start. I was hoping to see him start again, but I thought he did well. The statistics won't blow you away, but you also got to consider the fact that he's playing against the #1 defense in the NFL. So you got to kind of grade that on the curve. But I thought he did well. I was looking forward to seeing him in the second start. But, I mean, dude has to be one of the most unlucky guys in the world. I mean, you know, so we'll see. Next up, Zachary says, who is the most improved player in the NBA so far? Well, we just going Jimmy Butler crazy because Jimmy Butler is the most improved player in the NBA. Clearly. I mean, I don't even think it's close at this point. I mean, I was telling somebody earlier today, I don't think I've ever seen a guy go as far from their rookie season to where they are now than Jimmy Butler. So, yeah, definitely the answer to that question is Jimmy Butler. Next question, Brandon K says, who do you think is the NFL MVP this season, and who are the runner-ups? I think, in my personal opinion, the MVP is Tom Brady. I think he's done the most with the least. And, yeah, he does still have a good offensive line, but I think he's the guy. I think Aaron Rodgers is the runner-up. But another person who I think would have been the runner-up, is still I would still kind of put him right there, is DeMarco Murray. Leading the league in rushing, the Cowboys look awesome. I would definitely put him there. Let's see. Sports topics, next question. He says, I like Josh Smith as a player, but his contract and his shot selection led to his release. Where do you see him going? I think Josh Smith is, I mean, it's kind of up in the air right now. You got people talking about the Lakers. You got people talking about the Mavericks, the Rockets. I think ultimately, if it's any way possible for him to, also the Heater in the mix, if there's any way possible for him to land with the Rockets with his friend Dwight Howard, I think that's probably where you see him go. See, we got also, what value do you think that Josh Smith could add to another team? Von Resper Jr. has that. I think if you can get Josh Smith to taper off the three-point shooting, he can still be one of the most efficient power forwards in the league. The problem is the shot selection. When he's putting the ball on the floor and going to the basket and being a rim protector and using his athleticism, he's a very, very productive player. But when he's taking wild three-pointers, he hurts your team. That's the reason why he's not in Detroit anymore. The next question is from Tyler. He says, do you think that Max Scherzer will be back in Detroit next season? I don't know, man. It's kind of like waiting to see who's going to blink with him, because he asked for an exorbitant amount of money, and I don't know if anybody's willing to pay that for him. I wouldn't be shocked to see him go back to Detroit, because I don't think he's getting it quite what he expected from the free agent market. So a lot of times in that situation, guy ends up going back to his original team. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that. Tyler also says, do you think Yoenis Cespedes will help the Detroit Tigers? I think so, but Cespedes not hitting for a high average is that kind of, to me, I don't know. You have to see, is he really going to be much protection for Miggy in the lineup, you know, not being a high contact hitter? So that's what worries me about Cespedes. Juju World says, I really would like to change the LA Clippers to the Inglewood Clippers in my league in NBA 2K15. Why isn't that an option? Well, mostly it's not an option because you can't do create a team. If they allowed you to do create a team in NBA 2K15, a lot of these different types of customization things would be possible. But since you can't do that, that's why you have that limitation. So hopefully that's a feature that we'll see added back. It was in some of the older NBA 2Ks, but not in the current one now. Connor Massey says, what do you think of Jim Caldwell coming in and getting the Lions to the playoffs in his first year? I think you can definitely see the difference between these Lions and Jim Schwartz Lions. Jim Schwartz Lions blew close games down the stretch. They never won close games. Always did something boneheaded that wound up costing their team, you know, close victories. And these Lions aren't doing that. They're winning close games, and I think you can point directly to the coaching and the new culture for that. Connor Massey also says, who do you think will win the NFC North, the Lions or the Packers? I think the Packers win, simply because it's coming down to this one game on Sunday, and it's in Lambeau Field. The Packers haven't lost a game in Lambeau Field all season. Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown an interception at home all season. He's been ridiculous. And even though the Lions do have the best defense in the NFL, and they also have that formula that gives Rodgers problems, a team that can get pressure from the front floor without blitzing, I still think the Packers pull it off at home. Hunter says, are you ever going to do another NCAA 14 series? I believe I will. I can't say when. That's one thing I'm getting away from in 2015, throwing things out there that I'm not ready to jump on yet. So an NCAA 14 series would be one of those. I've been trying to gauge just how far away we are from maybe getting a new NCAA series, a new NCAA game. I think we're probably still about 2 years off from that. So in the meantime, I may spark another one up. Boss Hova says, is there a way to download created classic created classic teams like 98 Pacers, 93 Suns, etc., like in 2K13, 2K15, and could play a season? If somebody were to do that, you could do it, but you got to kind of create those teams as a part of a whole roster. You can't download just a team. So you can create that as part of a roster and then upload it, and then people could download it that way. You just call it like classic teams or something like that. Sports Topic says, what bowl game are you looking forward to the most, excluding the playoff games? Okay, the bowl game, I actually kind of had to look over this a little bit, but I would probably say the Cotton Bowl, because I'm kind of interested in watching Connor Cook of Michigan State. He may actually be the third quarterback off the board, and if you're a team looking for a quarterback after Winston and after Mariota, you might be looking at him. So I think that one's probably the one I'm looking at the most. Sports Topic also says, thoughts on the Padres adding all-stars in Kemp, Myers, Norris, and Upton. Are they going to make the playoffs next year? It's always hard to tell with that because Kemp has stayed injured a lot. Will Myers hit a little bit of a downslope last year, and Upton is also kind of, unpredictable, but they look pretty good on paper. I wonder a little bit about their rotation. I think Andrew Kashner is right now would be the ace. So Tyson Ross is there too, but I don't know. Can't say they'll definitely make the playoffs now. Benjamin Anabonum, I hope I said that right. He says, also the Rondo trade reminds me a lot of Ellis Jennings, both ball dominant guards. Can a Rondo Ellis Work. Take care. You too. I don't really think Monta Ellis is a ball hog. He is not a. He'll play the role you ask him to play. I mean, the Rondo trade, it can work, but I'm a little bit worried about a few things with Rondo. But I don't think it's like Ellis Jennings, because I think Ellis took the back seat there and let Jennings do the shooting. Benjamin also says the Warriors are looking good, although Charles Barkley mentioned they need a big to contend, noting Memphis. Do you agree? I think if Bogut is healthy, that's the big that they need to seriously contend. I worry about their perimeter defense in the playoffs. Most importantly, Steph Curry's. I think Klay Thompson gives the effort. I wanted to see if Steph Curry is going to give it consistently. If he gets in a series with like Portland, he has to stick Damian Lillard for the majority of the series. And we'll see how that goes. Jalen Cook says, do you think that the MLB 2K series will make a comeback? Ooh-wee, I don't know. That one went out with a whimper. That didn't, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a market for it, because right now, if you got an Xbox One and that's it, you can't play baseball. That's just it. You can't play it. So there's a market for it, but I don't know. Somebody, let's see, AWOL says, what do you think about the Rondo trade? I say the Western Conference Finals. I don't know, because what I was going to get to with the last Rondo question was this. Rondo is the type of point, he definitely obviously can get to the basket a little bit better than Jameer Nelson, but you can't double team off of Jameer Nelson because he'll knock down the open jump shot. Rondo won't. So that worries me for the Mavericks in that sense. So I don't know. And then plus there's the gamble of whether or not he's going to resign. So Connor Massey says, what is your NFL playoff picture? Well, it's really, with one game left, it's really kind of pretty clear and concise right about now. The NFC North champion is between the Lions and the Packers. The NFC South champion is between the Panthers and the Falcons. So, then we got some things up and down for the seeds. But I think Seattle ends up with the #1 seed and the Patriots end up with the #1 seed in the AFC. All right, we got Simon Torvey Sunderland says, if Lance Stevenson is traded, where do you think he'll go? And what do you consider to be the best fit for him? I really don't know, man. Maybe like the Lakers would be a decent fit for him. Maybe playing with Kobe would be a good thing for him. I know they could definitely use somebody that can push the offense like that. Probably take some minutes from Nick Young, and that'd be an issue there. But Lance can play the 2 or the 3, so that helps. But then that impacts Wesley Johnson. So I don't know, but I think that's something to ponder. Simon Torvey Sunderland also says, do you think that the 76ers can develop into a contender in 3 to 5 years if they can keep the likes of MCW? I don't know, man. It's going to take a lot. They have some pieces. I really like a few of the guys that they have on the squad. Noel, I think, is a good piece. MCW is a good piece. And we'll see what happens with Joel Embiid. But it's hard to predict in 3 to 5 years they'll be ready to contend. Jalen Cook says, are you going to upload more NBA 2K15 in my career? Yes, I will. I'm going to talk a little bit about that stuff, just, moving into the new year. I got like a direction that I'm going, man, and I'm trying to, all the time, just trying to bring my subscribers the best and most consistent content. And you guys know who, subscribe. No, consistency sometimes is my issue, so I'm working on that. So we'll see what goes on. Chris Rouse says, what program do you use to make your highlight videos? My favorite program is Cyberlink Power Director. It's not quite as jazzy as maybe like Final Cut and Sony Vegas in some ways, but it does what I like and what I need. Sometimes I consider upgrading and adding some bells and whistles, but this has some stuff that I haven't even touched on already, so that's what I use. Kevin Joseph has a long one. He says, I swear I only made my Twitter so I can ask FP. I appreciate that, man. It's something that's kind of bothered me for some time, but not sure how far back this goes. But the last couple of 2K installments haven't included tats on rookies. I don't know why. I searched all over the net, but haven't really found much addressing this. Is there a reason why? Tattoos are a funny thing now because they're regarded as art. And a lot of times to include someone's tattoo, you have to get the agreement from the artist himself. So people own the rights to that tattoo, so they just, it's a process now. So there's that. Long says, what's the game of the year in your opinion? Well, you have to wait for my sports gaming awards that are coming out a little bit later this week. But yeah, that question will be answered then, as well as the rest of the nominees and award winners for my Franchise Play Sports Gaming Awards for 2014. So that is definitely coming, but I appreciate you asking. Long also says, is there any way that the Christmas jerseys can be loaded on already started My Leagues? I'm not sure about My Leagues, but I'm pretty sure that in my career, on Christmas night, like on the day that, you know, when it comes up to the Christmas game, they automatically put you in the Christmas jerseys. I believe I saw that, and they wear alternate jerseys on the days that they're supposed to and all of that sort of thing. So I think that might be the same thing with My Leagues, but I don't know. You can't quote me on that. Mikhail Kassam says, who wins the AFC North, and do you think that that team will be able to make a run at the Super Bowl? At this point now, I think the Bengals win it. At one point, I thought it was going to be the Baltimore Ravens, but I think the Bengals made a statement with their Monday night win over Denver, so I'm going to go with Cincinnati. Do I think they can make a run at the Super Bowl? No, I don't. Andy Dalton played well enough not to lose the game for his team on Monday, but I think to beat a team like the Patriots and even the Broncos, Dalton's going to have to win a game, and I don't think he can do that. Aiden Snodgrass says, what do you think of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell this year, and who is the NHL MVP so far? I think Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell have been a great 1-2 punch. Le'Veon Bell has been especially great as a dual threat running back, receiving and running the ball. He's having just a great year. Probably if it wasn't for DeMarco Murray, he'd be having the best year of any running back. So I think they've been great. In terms of an NHL MVP, I would have to go with Patrick Kane. I mean, right now, the Blackhawks have the most points of any team in the Western Conference. Kane is leading the team in points, assists. He's pretty much doing everything, edging out Jonathan Taves in most of those categories. He's got a higher plus-minus rating. So I would say Patrick Kane at this point. Y'all will probably call me a homer because it's Chicago, but I mean, I think that kind of, makes some sense. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Subscribe, follow. Peace.